What's going on, guys? Flawless here, and today I want to talk about the early meta predictions I have for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And to make sure that this video doesn't become dated after a few months of the game being out, I am going to use tried and tested VGC strategies and apply them to Pokemon and mechanics that have already been confirmed for Scarlet and Violet. So even if the Pokemon change in the meta as things go on, as they will, you'll still be learning valuable tips and strategies for playing competitive Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. But without further ado, let's talk about what's new in the world of Pokemon. First, I want to talk about weather, because weather to me sticks out a lot as far as Scarlet and Violet, with the Pokemon that they've already announced, and as well as the Terra typing mechanics. I think it'll be really strong in this game, and the early VGC formats as well as the later VGC formats. Weather is always a significant part of competitive Pokemon, but I think there's some really crazy stuff that we'll be able to do in these games in particular. So talking about rain first, I want to talk about the tried and tested duo Double Ducks. What I'm talking about here is Golduck and Pelipper. You use Pelipper to set up the rain, and Golduck, using its Swift Swim ability, takes advantage of the speed boost it gets from the rain. It also gets a power boost to its water type moves in the rain as well. And on top of that, you could use Golduck as your Terrestrialized Pokemon, switching to a Water Terra type, which will give you a boost on top of that. So now Golduck has the rain boost to its water attacks. It has the Terrestrialized boost to its water attacks. It has the same type attack bonus. So this is just tons of damage and speed coming off on turn 0. And then even if you didn't want to go the water route and you wanted to have something maybe with a little bit more coverage, I could see you turning into the Grass Terra type with Golduck. This would allow you to do good damage onto opposing water Pokemon, and it would give you pretty good defensive typing in the rain, because you'd have the fire damage to this now grass type mitigated by the rain as well. And it would also still be getting its Swift Swim ability. This you'd have to pair with the new move Terra Blast to really take advantage of it, but it's still a really cool concept and something that I think could be made good use of in competitive Pokemon. Not only will the rain heavily benefit your Golduck and the Double Duck strategy, as well as mitigate fire damage, it will also allow Pokemon who have access to moves like Thunder and Hurricane to have 100% accuracy on those powerful attacks. So on the flip side of rain, you have the sun. Whenever rain will be a viable option, the sun will be as well in order to counter it. But I think the sun will give us one of the craziest utilizations of weather ever in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. What I'm talking about here is the utilization of the Chlorophyll ability in this generation. Chlorophyll is an ability that some grass Pokemon get that boosts their speed while they're in the sun. But the disadvantage that grass Pokemon have using Chlorophyll compared to water Pokemon using Swift Swim is that the sun won't boost the power of grass type attacks. But now, with the new Terrestrializing mechanic, you could Terrestrialize a grass Pokemon with Chlorophyll into a Fire Terra type. This would make it a fire Pokemon in the sun with the speed boost of Chlorophyll. It's absolutely insane. So let's look at the pairing of Lilligant and Torkoal, utilizing the sun here and Chlorophyll ability. So Torkoal, of course, will set up the sun, and Lilligant will get that massive speed boost from the Chlorophyll ability, and then we'll Terrestrialize it to the Fire Terra type. And right now has several advantages. What we're going to use is For the same type attack bonus move, we'll use the new move Terra Blast, which does change the typing of the move to the Terra type of the Pokemon. So then that's our fire type attack that is now boosted in the sun and by the same type attack bonus. But Lilligant will also have access to moves like Quiver Dance that raise not only your special attack but also your speed and special defense, as well as Sleep Powder, and while the sun is up, we'll have access to 1-turn solar beams. So not only will water Pokemon have their attacks lowered in the sun, but they're going to be scared of a really fast 1-turn solar beam. But let's not forget about Torkoal. The one downside you might see in Torkoal is that he's slow. But what his low speed allows you to do is on turn 0, if your opponent brings out the rain and you bring out the sun, your sun will override that rain that's set up. And Torkoal also has access to one of the most powerful moves in the game, in Eruption. This is a 150 base power spread attack that's going to be in the sun, and while using an item like Charcoal, it will be further boosted, and if you want to terrestrialize the Torkoal instead of, say, the Lilligant, then it's going to get another boost on top of that. Now, Eruption having its full power is based on your HP, so to get off that 150 base power attack, you have to be at full health. But if you can get them to over prioritize attacking the Lilligant on the other side or another Pokemon you have there, and Torkoal is able to get off that sun boosted, Charcoal boosted, same type attack boosted, and even Terrestrialize boosted Eruption, that could end the game turn 1. Now, if you don't want to opt to bring either rain or sun, I think sand on Tyranitar is the next best thing, just to get rid of those weathers that the other team may be wanting to use. And I think Tyranitar will be really cool in this format using terrestrializing, because one of my favorite VGC sets to run with Tyranitar is a Scarf Tyranitar. So it's way faster than your opponent may be expecting it to be, and it gives you a very fast Rock Slide. And with Rock Slide being faster, that means you can get off flinches. And now, with terrestrializing, you'd be able to terrestrialize into Rock type, still get the special defense boost that Rock types get from the sand, and then get a boost to your power on your Rock Slide as well. So you're doing way more damage, you're getting the flinch chance, so this can really slow down the momentum of your opponent's team. And in general, I think in the early meta, Tyranitar will find itself getting a lot of use in competitive Pokemon and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Looking at some of the Pokemon already confirmed for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, it already looks to me like Trick Room will be very strong in this generation. It's always had a place in VGC, but it does look particularly good here with strong Trick Room setters like Bronzong or Hattering, and I could also see a world where Flash Fire Colossal is super viable in Trick Room. If you're not aware of what Trick Room does, it reverses the speed tiers of the Pokemon. So the Pokemon that are faster will move after the Pokemon that are slower. The only thing that I am seeing here in the list of Pokemon confirmed that may make Trick Room a bit harder, a lot of the traditional Follow Me users don't seem to be confirmed yet. I don't know that they will or won't be in the game for sure, but this may make setting up Trick Room just a little bit more difficult. Speaking of Colossal though, Colossal I think will be one Pokemon that can utilize kind of everything that we've talked about really well. Like in Trick Room, saying that it can use its Flash Fire ability, which didn't really see a lot of use in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Its Steam Engine ability will be just as good as it ever was, utilizing the Terra typing. So for a Rain team, you could utilize the Water Terra type and have an Aquajet partner to proc the Steam Engine ability, giving you a whole bunch of speed and power and boosted water type attacks, likely you'll need to use the Terra Blast as the water type attack, but that does make it super viable there. And then you could apply the same thing in the Sun, and you could potentially change it to a fire type. And you would actually take less damage as a fire type Terra. Yes, it would be super effective, but it would only be a single super effective versus where if it's rock and fire, it would be double super effective. So in the Sun, you could get that Aqua Jet off that sets off your steam engine, and you could also have something on you like a weakness policy to boost your attack, and you could just go as soon as you get that steam engine speed boost. And this would also work a bit, I don't think quite as well, but there's a world where you could get to work in sand as well because of the special defense boost of rock Pokemon in the sand. However, the special defense boost will not mitigate the damage done to you by that Aqua Jet, so you may need to switch typings, maybe to the rock type, but you're still going to take super effective damage, and it's not going to be mitigated like, say, the Sun or changing to a water Terra type. So I'm not sure that sand will work out all that well, but I think in a pinch it may be possible to get that to work. Now I want to bring up some Intimidate users, because Intimidate is a super viable ability within competitive Pokemon. What it does is it lowers the attack of each Pokemon on the other side of the field by one stage, and especially if both Pokemon on the other side of the field are physical attackers, that's super useful within the battle. The Pokemon with the Intimidate ability that I think will be very good early on will be Arcanine and Gyarados. I think they're obvious choices, and they're generally very good in early VGC meta. While I don't think he'll see as much use, I do think Crocodile is another solid option for an Intimidate user in the early metagame. That being said, as the meta evolves and the format evolves and we start getting other Pokemon allowed into the format via transfer, say like Incineroar, you can easily see how a Pokemon like Arcanine would go away at that point. And once they start allowing in non-restricted legendaries like Landorus Therian, it kind of seems like Arcanine, Gyarados, or Crocodile may see a lot less use at that point. But these Pokemon I do think will be very good early on in the format for a plethora of reasons. Alright, let's take a look at some Fake Out users, starting with Pikachu and Raichu. Pikachu and Raichu will always be good options for Fake Out users due to their access to the ability Lightning Rod, which will redirect electric moves. As far as Fake Out users go, I think Pikachu and Raichu will be the top picks for people running rain teams. Between Pikachu and Raichu, Raichu will always be the more consistent option here as a Fake Out user because of its better base stats, but Pikachu is often considered because pairing it with its item Light Ball, it can dish out quite a bit of damage. However, because it has less consistent speed than Raichu, and it won't have access to a Focus Sash because it will be holding the Light Ball, its longevity on the field is also lessened. Another great option for a Fake Out user is Hariyama, which will give you a much more bulky option than Raichu and Pikachu, especially with its ability Thick Fat, which halves the damage of fire and ice moves. But if you're looking for something more offensive as well, Hariyama has access to the ability Guts, and paired with the Flame Orb, you can do a lot of damage using that combination. The last Fake Out options I want to look at here are Sneasel and Weavile. I think these are really good picks if you're wanting to have a Pokemon that not only has Fake Out, but also has access to moves that could proc a weakness policy, moves like Ice Shard or Surf. These two Pokemon are very good at doing that, and actually between the two, I think Sneasel is better due to its ability Inner Focus, so it can't be flinched. So if you're trying to turn one proc a weakness policy, no one is going to be able to fake you out and prevent that. So between the two, I think Sneasel is better, but if you're not just looking to proc a weakness policy, or if you're just using the Ice Shard in order to do that, I think Weavile is still a good choice because then you have more damage options as well. With the lack of Dynamax, Fake Out will be a lot more effective in this generation than it was in Sword and Shield. That's why you really want to look at counters for it, if there is some. The one I'm looking at is Serena. Serena's ability, Queenly Majesty, negates all priority moves, which means no Fake Out and no Quick Attack, no Aqua Jets. So it's a really effective Pokemon, and I can see it fitting really well on both Rain and Sun teams. I want to make a brief mention of Sableye. I think Sableye will be potentially one of the best support Pokemon early on in the metagame. I believe at the time of recording this that Sableye is currently the only Pokemon confirmed for Scarlet and Violet that will have access to the Prankster ability. This allows non-attacking moves to have priority. Sableye can make good use of this using moves like Quash, which will make the Pokemon that it targets go last in that turn. And it also has access to Priority Will-O-Wisp, and it has access to Ally Swap, and it also has access to Fake Out as well if you want to use that. And some other obvious choices for the early metagame would be the pseudo-legendary dragons that we have confirmed in Hydreigon, Salamence, and Dragonite. They'll all be very good. I imagine that Hydreigon and Salamence will be a bit more meta, but I can see Dragonite being really solid using Fire Punch on a Sun team and then utilizing defensive Terra typing as well as its ability multi-scale with perhaps Roost as well to be a bit more bulky of an option. But in general, due to their base stats, great move pools, Hydreigon, Salamence, and Dragonite can really work on just about any team. Last but not least, I want to do an honorable mention for Azumarill. Just because in any format Azumarill is in, using a Belly Drum set is incredibly dangerous. It's a huge threat because once you use Belly Drum, yes, it halves your health, but it maxes out your attack stat. And then at that point, Azumarill can pretty much just hit Aqua Jet and win games. So, I had to bring that up, and especially with being able to Terrasilize, that's even more damage on top of that. Even if the sun's up, even if it's a fairly bulky Pokemon, just an Aqua Jet's still going to do huge damage. Alright guys, those are my early metagame picks for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Please leave a comment below because I really want to discuss this. I want to know what your thoughts are. What Pokemon did I miss from the Pokemon confirmed for these games? But that's enough for me. You're all flawless, and I'll see you next time. Bye.